We good? Are we live?
Not yet.
It says we're live.
Go.
It says meeting is now live on YouTube. That means that if you are joining in, you can see us. We're here today. I'm Donnie Nolan. This is Tristan Dunn. We're at Coach's Call. You can find us at Coach's Call on tap. We have a Discord. You can go to the website and then join the Discord. You can also find us on TikTok and a few other places, Twitter, Instagram, things like that, Facebook. But today we're going to be talking tennis. Tennis is one of the most intriguing betting sports out there. It is not based on a team. It's a person to person. So it's very much like a fighting or a one-on-one type situation. So if an injury happens, it can completely change the game. So instead of, if you're missing if LeBron's out, it may change the line a little bit. But in tennis, it's usually just called a no bet or they cancel the bet. So if you haven't paid a lot of attention to betting tennis, this is going to be kind of like a 101, but we're also going to talk some picks and some tourneys and some stuff like that. Tristan, how long have you been betting tennis?
So I've been betting for about 2 years, and I would honestly say that up until probably this year, I've finally got a firm grasp on being able to make my own plays on tennis. And if you like to live bet, tennis is probably one of the one sports that you can get some of the best live odds ever. No matter the sport, you can catch a guy at plus 1,000 just for losing a set, and they 100% can win the whole match. One of my favorite bets is if I have a guy, so I'm gonna just do an example. So Ben Shelton just played Jordan Thompson, and Jordan won the first set. Ben, I think Ben was favored, right?
He was.
Ben was favored going in. Well, I woke up and they were just finishing set one, and Ben lost the tiebreak. And so coming out of the first set, Ben was not the favorite no more. He was plus 135, and he easily won the match. He went ahead and he won the second set and he won the third set. So it's important to understand though, with betting tennis with these smaller tourneys, they only go 3 sets in the men's. If you're playing in a Grand Slam, it's 5 sets. So that's important.
Best of five.
Yep. Best of 5 sets. So that's important to know. So Ben lost that one, and I live bet him to win the whole match at plus 135, and he easily won the whole match. One of my favorite live bets is to go ahead and I thought Ben would win the whole match anyway, so I went ahead and I would go ahead and bet him to win the second set and the match.
Right. So let's break that down real quick for people that are new to tennis. Tennis is based on games. A game is, and it's kind of confusing if you've never played tennis. It starts at 15, 30, 40 and game. So it's basically you need to win 4 points to win the game. But if it's tied, let's say that, we have 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.3 for one player, and then you have 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 for the other player. Now you have to win by 2. So you may have these games where they're called advantage and love, or advantage and deuce. Love means that you haven't scored a point. Deuce means it's tied. And an advantage means that if you win the next point, you win that game. Now, the games are based into what's called a set. A set is the first one to get 6 game wins the set, with an exception. You have to win by 2. Or if you're tied at 6, you go into what's called a tiebreak. And a tiebreak is the first one to 7 points. But again, got to win by 2. Everything is based on winning by 2, which is kind of neat. So that is in the first set. But as you were saying, most tournaments are best of 3. So you have to win 2 of 3 sets to win the match. Now, if you win the first 2, you don't have to play the third one. You just move on. The Grand Slams, which is Wimbledon, Australia Open, the US Open, and the French Open, are all best of 5.
Yep.
So
Except
you
for
play
women's. Except for women's.
Women's are different. Yeah, this is just men.
Yep.
Women still say best of 3. So that's kind of the way the game is broken down in scoring. When we say someone's a favorite, that means they're negative odds. And this may be something that we'll discuss on another one, but we'll kind of break it down a little bit here. If you're minus 130, you have to bet $130 to make $100. If you're positive 130, you bet 100 and you make 130. So that kind of gives you an idea. There's other ways to bet on tennis, but as you said, the money line is the most bet thing in tennis. You were talking about live betting. I got into tennis about 4 or 5 years ago. I was at a DraftKings event, and this guy's just sitting there betting on tennis live. And I'm like, hey, I'm curious. I want to know. And he was betting with terrible odds, like minus 500 odds, but he would find somebody that was hot, like Djokovic or Alcaraz or Casper Ruud, whoever was playing a bad player, and he was just betting game by game by game. So every time that favorite would be on serve, meaning they're serving the ball, they're probably not going to lose their serve, he would throw $5,000 on it at 500 minus 500 odds, which is not good, but he would make 1,000. And I was like, so why are you, but what happens when you lose one? He goes, well, they average losing 1 out of 12. And he goes, so I'm going to make 12 grand before I lose 5 grand. And I was like, so you're making 7. Okay, that makes sense. I can do the math around it. But there's so many different ways to live bet tennis. As you were saying, you can go point by point. So equate that to, first down in football, or batter by batter in baseball. You can bet game by game. So, you can take that into quarters or innings. You can bet spread. So the spread is what's called a game spread, game line. That means that your player has to win by so many games. So the game line on the Shelton Thompson was minus 2.5. And it would have hit because Thompson won by 1 game and then he lost by 5. So the spread on that was 4. So that's over minus 2.5. So you would have won that bet. You can bet on set lines, meaning your guy has to win by minus 1.5. That means he has to just totally dominate the first 2 matches. If he doesn't, or the first 2 sets, if he doesn't, he loses that bet. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways to bet tennis. We could literally spend hours going over the different nuances on it. Is there a particular one that you like more than the others?
So I'm mainly I'm not going to lie. A lot of the times in tennis, I'm going to take a money line more than a spread, depending on who it is. So tennis, it's like Donnie was saying earlier, it's such an individual sport. So you watch a lot of these. So right now they're playing in Japan, they're playing in Stockholm, and a lot of these are some of the lower tiered guys that are starting in the first rounds.
They're also playing in Antwerp.
Yep, in Antwerp. So you really see the gap between these guys whenever the Djokovic plays a guy like there's a guy on here, his name is Mertens. Mertens he's a decent tennis player, but when Djokovic plays these dudes, they struggle. So Djokovic has one of the best return games in all of tennis. Return means whenever a guy is serving, you have to get the return back in play to keep the point going. And so Djokovic, he's got one of the best return games. It doesn't matter who's serving to him, he's probably going to get the return back in. And so for me, on a Djokovic match, when he's playing somebody like that, I'm more times out of 10, I'm going to bet the under in the match. And then I'm also going to bet his spread, because a lot of Djokovic's spreads when he plays these guys, he's sitting at like a -6.5 spread, which is massive for tennis. That is massive. And then like the under will be set at 17.5 points, which is not a lot of points. But Djokovic will cover that because he'll beat the guy like 6-1, 6-1. And like he'll just wipe the floor with him. But then when you get these guys that are more evenly matched, like Ben Shelton, he's a really, really, really good young player. But like I was watching his game against Jordan Thompson. He's still learning the game. So like Thompson's been playing the game a long time, and like Thompson can pretty much get Ben into some mental errors, and like he won't play well on long rallies sometimes. But he's got one of the best serves in the game. So for me, it depends. It depends on the match. But whenever you have these guys that are more evenly matched, I'm going to take money line more times than spreads.
Sure. And that's and we can talk about games as well. You can bet over and under games, which you kind of touched on. If you think a game or a match is going to go 3 sets, let's say that the players are very evenly matched, meaning, it's like a -105 to -115. You could take the over. The over is probably going to be set at like 19 to 22 games. So if it goes 3 sets, you're almost guaranteed to hit that over. So there is that way to do it. One of the great things I love about tennis is live betting. And it's like you said, You can catch somebody at the right time. We had a game yesterday. It was in women's side, and a player named Elise Mertens was down. She was down 5-2. And I'm like, as soon as she loses this set, I'm betting her to take the match. And I should have pulled the trigger at -140. But I knew if she lost the set, it would go to like +105. So I was just trying to maximize my dollar. Of course, she did not lose a game after that. She went on she won the first set, so she won 7-5, so she won 5 in a row, and then she went on to win the next set 6 in a row. So she skunked her. But I was able to make a little value because I bet the under 8.5 games in the second set, seeing that she was playing, that it had all clicked in. That's another way you can make bets. You can bet on over under how many games are going to be in a set. One thing that you can find great value in is hedging in this. And we don't talk a lot about hedging, but let's say you've got a favorite. Let's say, let's look at some games today. So I have
do Kotov and Sonego.
Kotov and Sonego live again. They're playing right now, I believe.
Because I actually have a bet. I have a bet on that.
What did you get? What did you get Sonego at? You took Sonego, right?
Okay, so before this match even started, so this is best of 3. They're playing in Stockholm. I actually took the under 22.5 pre-match. Sonego was favored, and I honestly thought Sonego was going to run Kotov, but Kotov, he's a decent tennis player, so he actually ended up winning the first set. And to somewhat kind of get me out of the under, I bet Sonego live, but it's actually looking like Kotov's going to go ahead and take care of him in 2 sets, and the under may still hit. So I got under 22.5, and then I also bet Sonego live at, I think it was like +100.
Sure. Well, it did change. Kotov was not the favorite. He was, I think, I don't remember. I want to say it was, like minus, let's see if I can find it. He was +105 to start, or +120. Sonego lost the first set 6-4. He was down a break. A break means that you have lost your serve.
Yep.
Basically in tennis, if you're serving, you're kind of expected to win your serve. That should be your strong point. You're initiating, you're dictating where the ball is going to start. So you're kind of putting the other player on the defensive. You're the offensive player on this. He lost his serve in set 2, and then regained it by breaking Kotov in game 7. So now it's tied up 4-4 in set 2, and they're actually even at 40 apiece, meaning somebody's got to win by 2. So if somebody can win 2 points in a row right here and it's even or deuce, then it goes on. So Sonego just got the point. If he wins the next point, they move on to game 10. If he doesn't get this point, it's back to deuce. And again, you got to win by 2.
So we actually have some questions, Donnie.
Yeah.
All right. So Puff is asking, let's talk about the Ben Shelton and the future of tennis, and then also who our favorite tennis cash cow is. So let's talk about Ben Shelton for a minute.
Okay. Ben is a player out of Florida that he
played tennis in college at Florida.
Yeah, played tennis in college in Florida. Let me get his.
Dude, Ben has probably one of the best serves in all of tennis. I mean, so a lot of the men probably serve at about 125 to 130 miles an hour off a serve. Ben almost every first service serving at 150 to 155. He's got one of the best serves in all of tennis and one of the hardest serves to return. And so there's about only one player that I've seen consistently be able to just get his serve back into play, and that was Djokovic. And Djokovic handled it very well.
Here's the thing. So he's a young player. He's 21.
Yeah.
He's not like a massively big player, 6'4", 195. That's about the average. In fact, it may even be a little small for tennis. A lot of tennis players are over 6'4". Now the Brazilians and stuff like that, they do come in a little shorter. The big thing with Ben, though, is he's left-handed. There's not a ton of left-handed. So it's just like everything else. If you're used to the ball spinning at a direction, it's now going to spin the opposite direction. Because when you have your overhand serve, you're putting top spin on the ball, but it's really not completely spinning, vertically. It's spinning kind of at an angle because you're hitting it at an angle. Now it's going to spin the other way. So it is an adjustment for everybody to play against him. He's currently ranked 19th in the world, which is the highest he's ever been. He just moved up from 20th based on his last tournament, which was, I think, Tokyo. He's now playing in where is he playing? Is it Antwerp or Stockholm that he's in?
I think Ben's playing in Stockholm.
No, he's playing in Japan.
Japan, okay.
He's playing in Japan. Sorry, there's 3 different ones, and it's easy to get them confused. This time of the year, you have people like him, people like Rusevori. They're all jockeying for position to get into different lines. I
was gonna say, this is where like the guys like that try and climb the rankings a little bit.
Yeah, because they want to get into making sure that they're qualified for next year and they don't have to go through qualifiers and stuff like that. So so the difference between this sport and other sports, I guess golf is probably the closest we can get to it. You have a qualifying round, and it's, let's say it's the Cincinnati Masters. You'll have the Cincinnati Masters starting on a Monday, but the week and a half before that, you'll have qualifying for it. So people that aren't qualified for it already, let's say the top 40, they're going to field 64 players. So they'll have 24 open spots for it. And you just have to qualify for it. Now, not every tournament has 24 open spots. Some of them have 4, some of them have 8. It just kind of depends. The US Open obviously has one of the biggest qualifying. I mean, it's like 3 weeks worth of qualifying.
Yeah.
Then below that this is for the ATP. The ATP is the top pros. That is the tour pro level. Below that is the ITF. The ITF is anybody can play in it. It's the International Tennis Federation, and you can go join a tournament and go play. You have to go through qualifying just like anything else, but it's the big pros aren't going to play in it. But somebody that maybe is coming off of a injury, we saw it last year with Wawrinka. Early he had a devastating injury, and in 2021, end of 2021. He started, getting his form back in the ITF because he wasn't qualified for some of the ATP stuff. Then he went on a tear, just a tear, upsetting big names once he got into the ATP. And at the time, he was ranked like 360. I think he is now, let's see, Stan.
Dude, Wawa is his little nickname we like to call him. Wawa he's been on a tear. He killed some dude yesterday, whoever he's playing.
He's now ranked 46. So he's moved up from 360 to 46 since his return from injury. He's 38. I mean, he's not a young cat. He's not a young man anymore. I mean, but he is super mobile. He is all over the court. He's got a great coach in Magnus Norman. Magnus has coached some of the best in tennis. And he's just been on a tear. So yeah, I mean, there's so many different storylines in tennis. Ben Shelton is one of those guys that is going to be good. He's going to be around for a long time. We kind of thought that with Brandon Nakashima, and he has not been that.
No, he's had a really rough year.
He had a really rough year. But on the other hand, somebody comes up, somebody goes down. I mean, it's kind of how life goes. Shelton has really come on late this year. I think his let's see, he has, let me give you his record this year because I saw it earlier.
I'll tell you one thing about Stan Wawrinka, like tomorrow he's pretty much a pick'em with Thomas Machak, which I don't even know who that is, but I can go ahead and tell you I'll probably be on Stan. I don't know why Stan wouldn't win that. I don't know why he's a pick'em either.
Yeah.
But that also scares me a little bit knowing that he is a pick'em against that guy.
So Shelton started having a rough year. I mean, he really did. I
think his dad is his coach, ain't he?
I'm
pretty sure his dad is his coach.
I'm not seeing it in front of me. But I mean, literally, he did well at Melbourne. But other than that, he was pretty much 1 and out throughout the year. I mean, and he was not getting great draws. I mean, he had to face Dimitrov in Monte Carlo in round 1. He had to face Manarino in Miami on set 1. He had to face Casper Ruud in Barcelona set 2. Bublik in Rome, Sonego in Paris. So I mean, as a young player, he's going up against very good people.
Yes.
Then he started playing a little bit better. He started feeling his way in about mid-year August. He did have a loss to Alcaraz in Toronto. He had a loss to Sipsas in Cincinnati. And then he made it all the way to the finals in New York, losing to Djokovic. But that was kind of his coming out party, as per se. I mean, he gained a lot of ranking because he beat Thiem, Karastav, Paul, Tiafoe before losing to Djokovic. He then had a backtrack. He lost to Fields right after that, but on an indoor surface. We'll talk about surfaces in a second. But then made it all the way to the finals and lost to Korda 2 weeks ago in Shanghai, and now he's doing really well. But the thing that you need to know is surfaces matter on this. It's just like turf versus
grass,
but even more so because you have so many different surfaces on this. So in tennis, you have grass, which is a very slick surface. The ball is going to skip off of it. You have clay, which is a very grabbing surface. The ball is going to just grab, but you can slide on clay. You can glide. You'll see the players and they just slide on it. So it's very different. And then the most grabbing is hard surface. Hard surface, you have a regular hard surface and an indoor hard surface. Those are going to be the faster surfaces, and they're going to have the most grip. Now that said, a ball will spin on clay a lot more, but it's faster on an indoor surface. So his game has really been made on hard surfaces. I mean, he's 18-13 on hard surfaces. Outside of that, he's 25-24. So,
well, that's like I was going to say, like, you don't see a lot of breaks on hard courts. So, but like on clay, there's a lot of breaks on clay. A lot, and
Yep.
when I say break, that means like a player loses his serve and loses
Yes.
the point
Yes.
on serve. Hard courts, a lot of players hold their serves a lot more. That's like they're playing, and so these different type of surfaces have seasons. So like the beginning of the year is usually clay. Am I right by saying that?
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
Most of the overseas stuff is clay. You will find some grass and some indoor, but most of it's clay.
Because
To give you an idea,
The Australian Open's clay, isn't it?
uh,
Or is it the
I
French
think
Open?
French
French. Okay.
is.
Yeah, French
Um,
is open.
but to give you an idea, last year Ben Shelton's first year on the tour, as a full time tour, he only played hard surfaces.
Yep.
Only played hard surfaces. He didn't go to grass. He didn't go to clay or anything like that. His best run was he won Cincinnati, ATP Cincinnati, and that kind of put him on the map. And he had to beat Sonego, Rude, and Norrie to get that. But that's a tour event. But it didn't qualify him for the rest of the year. He still had to go to challengers events. It only qualified him for New York. I mean,
Which I kind of want to talk about something that's within the tennis community, and whether you're just a fan of the sport or you like betting on the sport. I want to talk about the rise and little bit of fall of Carlos.
Okay.
So Alcaraz. So personally, Carlos is one of my favorite players. He's one of my favorite players, but here in the last, I would say probably since Cincinnati, he has just lost his form. I don't know if it's because, which it's important to note that Carlos is still young. I mean,
he's only 20. He's only 20.
He's younger than Ben Shelton.
Yeah.
But he's still one of the top tennis players in the world. But that's like he lost to Dimitrov a couple weeks ago, and that's what kind of made me go, something's not right with Carlos. Dimitrov, he's nobody to sniff at for sure.
Sure.
That really took me by surprise that Carlos lost to Dimitrov though.
He has had a history of losing in the finals. He's won. Now, don't get me wrong. He's won his fair share. But if you look at most of his, year to year, he has 6 titles this year, which is incredible. I mean, Wimbledon, London, Madrid, Barcelona, Indian Wells, and Buenos Aires. That's huge. I mean, six wins is impressive, but it also breaks down into how many he is getting to the finals and not finishing, and it's about the same number. So now, granted, he's had to face some stiff competition. I mean, he lost to Djokovic, and I think that was he hasn't been in good form since losing to Djokovic earlier this year. Yep. And everybody had Carlos favored. And Djokovic is by far the number 1 player. I don't care. I know that he fell to number 2. He's back to number 1. I mean, you need to beat him multiple times before he's not number 1. And I get why he's not number 1. He's not playing in as many tournaments for whatever reason. It could be COVID related, or it could be, he just doesn't need to. But he can literally come into a tournament right now and be in excellent form. I mean, and just roll it. So I think that it's a very interesting situation. It's going to be something to look at as we move forward with the finals coming up.
I was going to say, I'm really interested to see how he performed in the finals. And see. Also, another player within the tennis world that I think has actually done the complete opposite of what Carlos has done is Jannik Sinner. Because for me, Sinner, he was always that guy that could never. So like he would run through competition in like the first few rounds of a tourney, And then the second he would play like Medvedev, Djokovic, Carlos, any of the big time names, like he would just get steamrolled every single time.
Yeah.
But then he just won a tourney last month and he beat Medvedev in the final. And I really kind of think Yannick might have actually turned a new leaf there.
I mean, he's had a great year. He's ranked fourth in the tour right now. He's got 3 wins this year. Beijing, Canada, and Montpellier, which was, they're all hard surfaces. He is very much a hard surface player. Young, 22, 6'2", 167, lots of ball speed. Yeah, I mean, for him, it may just be confidence. I mean, this isn't his first year on tour. I mean,
he's a real emotional player too. Yeah.
He's been on tour for 4 years. Last year was his worst. He only won 1, but the year before that, he won 4. Melbourne, Washington, Sofia, and Antwerp. All of them were hard surface. He's very much a hard surface player. So, he gets to that spot in those clays and he's rolling through the competition. But then when he hits one of these experienced players that knows the grass or knows the clay of the tournament, he struggles with that. It's just he hasn't got that feel for the other surfaces like Alcaraz has. I mean, Alcaraz is sprinkling his wins over everything compared to Sinner just staying on the hard surface stuff. But I mean, literally, Alcaraz has grass, clay.
But, hey, by the way, did Djokovic climb back up to 1?
Oh, I knew he did. I mean, like I said, you're going to have to beat that man. I don't agree with their standings on it.
Yeah.
He doesn't lose enough to not be number 1. I mean, let's see
if Carlos would have stayed 2. If Carlos would have stayed 1 after losing to Dimitrov, then something definitely was wrong with the rankings. Matter of fact, personally, I kind of think Carlos should be like 4. I mean, if I'm just being honest, like I think Medvedev right now would run Carlos. I think Sinner would probably run Carlos. I don't, but they got Carlos at 2, Medvedev at 3, and then Sinner at 4.
I mean, Djokovic is 45-5 this year.
I know. And I think 2 of his losses are to Carlos.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. He lost at Grand Slam. Yeah, I mean, he made every Grand Slam final and only lost in Wimbledon. Yep. He won the Open, he won Roland Garros, and he won Australia. Like, I don't care if a man goes 4-1 at the Grand Slams, he's number 1. And he should have been number 1 after Australia. He should have been number 1 after Roland Garros, and he wasn't. I mean, he was for a little bit, but then he lost to Wimbledon, and they immediately took him down. And I'm like, no,
dude, you want to know another player that really pisses me off? Especially, I bet on him probably more than I should, and we were talking about him a little bit in the Discord yesterday, and that's Francis Tiafoe. Man, Tiafoe has so much talent, and he is so good. But there's certain players in tennis that try to get too cute. And when I say that, Carlos is one of them. I think Tiafoe is probably another. They try and hit these drop shot points, which if you hit it, you look like a genius, and it's a great point. But like if you keep trying it in a match, you will lose a point very, very quickly off of trying to hit that shot. It's a difficult shot to hit.
Yeah. It is one of the toughest shots to hit. He has definitely not played his best tennis of late. He dropped a point in the standings. He hasn't looked good this year. I mean, he just has not. I mean,
I thought so. Like going into the U.S. Open, I actually had Tiafoe as a dark horse to kind of sneak up into the semis and even the quarterfinals. I can't remember where he lost at or even who he lost to, but I was really surprised. that's when I kind of had to start taking a step back on TFO, because I think probably for probably TFO probably needs to take a step back and try to work on probably the fundamentals a little bit more.
Well, just an update. Sonego just lost a break in game 12. So you hit by the hook.
Let's go.
22 games. So if you had under 22 and a half, you won by a half.
Nice.
So that's a very interesting situation.
So Kotop pulled it out.
Hang on a second.
I like it. I like it a lot. So I pretty much I lost the hedge, if you want to call it a hedge. I could have lost both. But
hang on one second. My phone's
okay. Draws. So bracket view. So let's figure out where TFO lost at in the US Open. So
hang on, I got something going on.
You good over there, Donnie?
Yeah, I don't know. Something's going on.
Okay.
My Spotify jumped on somehow. I'm like, where is this music coming from in my head? Somehow my Spotify turned on randomly in the middle of that. I apologize, guys. Can you hear me okay now?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Literally Spotify just jumped on and I was like, okay, my workout music's on. What's going on?
No,
yeah. So the last I got was Sonego folded in the last bit.
Yep. So I hit the under on that. So
you hit the under on that. Yep. You hit the under.
But
that kind of gives you some ideas on some of the stuff. Let's talk a little bit about what we got going on today. I mean, we've kind of talked a lot about history. Let's talk about some of our bets today and what we had this morning. Or here's the great thing about tennis. You can bet tennis almost 24/7.
Yeah.
It's because it's a worldwide sport and there are always tournaments overseas. There's tournaments here. There's tournaments everywhere. We have 3 major ATP tournaments going on right now in 2 very different time zones. One is Japan, and then the other 2 are in Europe, Stockholm and Antwerp. I had 5 bets in what I call overnight. Overnight is I'm going to make these bets before I go to bed, and I hope to wake up with cash.
Yeah.
So I had let's see here. I had Herbert Hurkacz. He lost. I had Ben Shelton. He won. I have Holger Rune. Is it Martin Fuchsovics? Here's the worst part of tennis. I am a good old boy from Tennessee. Some of these names sound like cuss words. Fuchsovics. And then I have Jeffrey John Wolf, or JJ Wolf as they like to call him. So that's what I had. And some of these are like Fuchsovics is a positive money line, meaning I'm betting 100 to make 110. The other ones are negative. I have to spend 155 to make 100, or I have to spend 185 to make 100. So the higher money lines are expected to win a little easier than the lower ones. I could go into how I get some of these. There's tons of different algorithms and ways to bet this. You can base it, if you want to read up on it, you can go to one of the good sites is Tennis Tonic.
Yes, I like using Tennis Tonic if I'm trying to tap a game.
It's a great resource because it gives you so much data. It'll give you their current form. It'll give you their head-to-head, what surface it's on. So, I mean, it's a pretty valuable asset. There's all kinds of different websites you can go to look at. You kind of have to pick what you feel comfortable with and what you want out of a rating, and check check their results.
So what I think we should do, Donnie, is let's if we're gonna talk about like the tournaments going on now, let's start with the tournaments, like, and just talk about that tournament. So like
Okay.
we got ATP Antwerp. We'll do that one first. Let's do that first.
So Antwerp is you've already got a couple of the basically the way they rank these tournaments is they'll take the ranking of everybody that's decided to play, and then they'll put them into seeds. So they'll seed them 1 through 8. So let's say that
some get a bye. Don't the first 4 seedings get a bye?
Depends on the tournament, but usually it's the first 4. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. But yeah, top 4 get a bye. In this tournament, Stefanos Tsitsipas. I call him PP because he takes bathroom breaks. He is known for his bathroom breaks. Arthur Fils, Alexander Bublik, and I think, is it Jamie Struff? I know, got the buys.
Yep.
So they were considered your top 4 players in this event. Now that does not mean that they are the top 4 players overall. They were just the top 4 at this event. I think, where is Sipsis ranked at right now?
Sipsis is 1 in this tournament.
Yeah, he's 1 in this tournament. I was talking about overall rank.
So overall, Sipsis is 6.
6. So I mean, he's your 6th best player in the world, and he's ranked number 1 at this. He is the clear favorite to win this. Out of the top 8, we are into the second, third round, and we've already lost 2 of the top 8. Gasco and Baena have both lost. Tournament,
I actually have a sleeper for this tournament.
What's the sleeper? Who's the sleeper?
Arthur Fils.
Fils. I mean, you can't really say a top 4 is a sleeper.
Yeah, but whenever you're playing Bublik and you have Sipsis in the same tournament, and then you also have Struff. I mean, I don't know. I mean, and he's a young guy. I think that's a sleeper, Donnie.
Maybe. If I was going to say a sleeper, I would say it's probably going to be either Thiem or Gaston. Gaston has had very good. Now he's an older guy. I mean, he's definitely getting long in the tooth per se, but he has 3 wins this year. I mean, it's not bad. So, I mean, I can't really say that he's bad. He had a bad run, and he wasn't qualified for much this year. So he had to come through the rankings, currently ranked 92nd, but has been playing pretty good tennis this year. Yep. Thiem, on the other hand, definitely a better player. He's ranked 86, couple of finals this year in big events. And he's just coming off of I think he just came off of put in a challenger event. Yeah. But yeah, I think those are a couple of sleepers. Who knows? Yeah, I mean, but yeah, Bublik and Struff are in the same bracket. Fils is in the Sipsis bracket. So when we say that, we mean, it's just like a NCAA bracket, or where you've got to face the top players and stuff. So yeah, I think it's a good event. I don't like that event as much as I do the Stockholm event. I think there's much better competition in the Stockholm event, and we can see some more upsets. So let's move on to there. Who do you like in that event?
Which one?
Stockholm.
I'm pulling it up now.
So Stockholm, again, Holger Rune was the top seed in this event, and
dude, he's got a good match. He's got Kekmanovic, I think is how you say his name. Yep. Dude, Kekmanovic is more than capable of beating Rune.
Yeah, I mean, and Rune got a bye round 1. Kekmanovic ranked 53. I've showed Rune is 6th in the world right now. But Kekmanovic got bounced his last event in Shanghai, and now he flies all the way halfway around the world and comes over to Stockholm. And that was literally a week and a half ago. So,
Yep.
or I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I don't know. He did bounce Freeburg 6-4, 6-2, but I think that tournament is more competitive top to bottom. You've already lost.
It is.
You've already lost 4 of your top 8, and you've got 3 of them going today. With Rune,
Dude,
Manarino, and Greek Spore.
Speaking of that tournament, so an interesting line in that is Manarino is a dog to Roman Safalin.
Yeah.
I can go ahead and tell you before I go to bed tonight, I most likely am going to bet Manarino as a dog. There's one thing I've learned in tennis too. A dog wins more time than not. It's actually really interesting. I actually like more dogs in tennis than I do any other sport.
And I don't really understand why he's an underdog in this match.
I don't either.
He's not in bad form. I mean, Astana in late September, early October, he made the finals against Korda and won. Then he did get bounced in Shanghai by Rublev, which that's not a bad loss. So I just don't see it. I mean, there's got to be a reason.
I don't see it either. I mean, he's the second seed in this whole tourney. Saflin, he beat probably a guy that's bottom of the rankings. He 2-0 him. Saflin, I mean, he's a good player, but
I mean, he's been playing very well. Let's not get it mistaken. I mean, he lost to Zverev in the finals of Chengdu, which is one of the Asian events, but beat Musetti, Jordan Thompson, Daniel Evans, and Brandon Nakashima. Then he came back in Shanghai, beat Murray, Zverev, and then lost to Ben Shelton. So, I mean, he's not playing poor tennis. I mean, he's definitely in form. I think it's going to be a close match. I like the over in it. I think it goes 3 sets. But
the over's probably a really good play.
Yeah, my favorite bets are, I've already told you, I've got Wolf and Rune in this one. I have already bet Wawrinka for tomorrow. It's a tomorrow type event. He's facing Tomas Machak, who is a 81th ranked player, 23-year-old. So he's got 15 years young on him, but he just doesn't.
I love Wawrinka's serve, man.
It's not on the same level right now. I understand why it's close on the books, but I took it really early. I think that line jumps up a lot as it opens up to more books, because a lot of books don't have it yet.
Are you taking Rune later at 1:00?
Yeah, I already have him.
I'll probably be on Rune later.
I got him at 155. I'm showing him right now at 170.
Really? I got him 140 on my book.
Maybe I'm looking at the wrong one.
Yeah, I got him at 140. I'll probably be on it here in a little bit.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
I got him at 145. Sorry,
one thing that I love about these overseas tournaments is, like, you wake up at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, they're already playing. You just turn it on, watch some tennis.
Or they play overnight. You wake up and you got cash in your bank. And you're like, hey, I woke up with money.
Yeah,
so that's never a bad thing. The last one we got going on is Japan. Japan had probably the most firepower in it. You had Fritz, Ruud, Zverev, TFO, and Kachev. Out of all those, only Fritz is left. So your top 8, you have 4 left: Fritz, Diminar, Paul, and Auger Aliassime.
Dude, I love Ben in this tournament. I
think he's got a good shot. I think this is going to be. He's got a tough matchup with Tommy Paul. I mean, Paul faced Altemeyer and McDonald and went through them, but Ben has faced Thompson and Daniel. I mean, he didn't have an easy path either. So I think this one is going to be good. It's, with Rude getting bounced by Marcus Giron, I think that gives him if he beats Paul, he's got either Auger Lissamay or Giron to make, the finals. So that's not a bad situation. On the other side of the bracket, I think you've got a very good matchup with Diego Schwartzman, who has not had a great year, versus Alex Deminar. And then you've got the winner of Guerin and Popperin probably facing Fritz. I really that side of the bracket is tough. You got Kierstad versus Zhang. Zhang just beat Hurkacz today, and
Tommy Paul's
Zhang
one of those. Go ahead. Sorry.
Zhang. I was going to say Zhang has been playing great tennis in the second half of this run. I mean, he went to New York, beat Casper Ruud in New York at the Open, and then took some time off. I mean, he took a month off and then came back and lost to Herc in the semifinals at Shanghai 2 weeks ago, and then came back and bounced him yesterday. Or this morning, overnight.
See, Tommy Paul is one of those guys that's like, what Tommy Paul are we going to get today? Tommy Paul can either play with the top competition in the world or he'll play like a challenger player. I mean,
he's literally your 12th ranked player in the world.
Yeah.
But, at the Davis Cup, he had 2 losses in a row over very, very subpar people. He goes to Vancouver, gets a bad draw, gets bounced by Casper, then gets another bad draw at Beijing, gets bounced by Medvedev, goes to Shanghai, beats Offner and Fields, and then loses to Rublev, who he should not lose to. I mean, if you're the 12th ranked player in the world, you better be beating some of these people.
Yeah.
He's gonna find his road is tough. He's not in good form right now. Earlier in the year, back in the summer, coming into the hard courts and the grasses, he was playing very good tennis. He lost to Sinner in the finals of Toronto, got bounced by Alcaraz in Cincinnati, and Shelton at the Grand Slam. But
he's got Shelton again tomorrow. Not tomorrow, probably the next day.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have it rough. And McDonald's not going to be an easy walk for him. I think McKenzie's playing very good tennis right now. He's had some bad draws, just like anybody else. Having Dimitrov in the first round, or Karen Kashanov, who's great on hard surfaces. It's going to be tough for him. I mean, he's 37th in the world. It's going to be an interesting situation.
Who you got winning Tokyo?
Whew. I think it comes down to. I really think it comes down to the winner of whoever wins Auger Lissamay and whoever wins Ben Shelton. It comes from that side of the bracket. I think that side of the bracket, whoever wins this next match coming after tomorrow wins the whole thing. I think it's either Auger Lissamay or Shelton. Just personal opinion. I think
I'm probably going to be on Ben. I think Ben can do it. I really do.
Yeah, I think he's got the ability. The one X factor is Diego. I mean, he has been awful this year. He's dropped all the way down to like 100. And I mean, he was one of your best players or one of the scariest players last year. And then in Shanghai, he kind of picked his form back up a little bit, made it all the way to the quarterfinals and lost to Jerry in a 3-setter. If he's getting back on form,
I can give you guys.
If he's getting back on form, he's going to be real tough to beat.
I can give you guys a quick example. So Juan Pablo Varalles he's the 8th seed in Antwerp. He's playing Shevchenko, who's no pushover. Well, Juan Pablo Varalles, he lost set 1. Right now they're playing set 2. Juan was plus 550 a minute ago. Yep. I will take a shot for like a half a unit on an 8th seed to beat Shevchenko. So I put $25 on Pablo Varellas to go ahead and win that match, and he's already down to live odds of plus 340.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be able to get some good value on that, and whether you're unit better or flat better, that's your choice. But we always talk about expected value, EV. The EV on a bet like that is great. If you've got somebody that was a minus 150, minus 300 area, and then they lose set one, they're probably going to be positive 150. And that's a great chance to get some great value. I mean, I'm not going to bet a minus 250. It's just,
no,
you don't get any. The EV on it is negative. But if they lose set one and you get them for a 150, then the EV is great. I think that's a great situation. Now, the bad thing is if somebody's like a minus 700 and they lose, they're probably only going to minus 150, which is still good EV. But if they lose and they're minus 700, probably something wrong. They tweaked an ankle, and we see it a lot. We'll see somebody, get hurt and push through it and try to play for the money. Then we see some people that get hurt and just say, all right, I'm done. I'm not risking this. And in that case, in betting tennis, that bet is always canceled. So it's canceled out. It's a no bet. You get your money back. You don't win, you don't lose.
It happened to me. It was either last week or the week before. I had a bet. It was a women's match. I had a bet on somebody and she was steamrolling her. And I think she tweaked her ankle and like, she literally couldn't move. She finished the set out and lost the set, but she ended up retiring when the set was over. And so I just got my money back. It was a refund.
Yeah.
So now we're coming up on an hour, Donnie. Do you want to do a quick rundown of women's?
The women's this week is very, very light. We can run over it. There's not a ton going on. I mean, there's quite a few matches, and women's tennis is just as good as men's in a lot of situations as far as betting. In fact, sometimes it's even better because you'll get that Elise Mertens or that Ons Jabeur or that someone that is heavily favored and loses a set, and you can bounce back on it. The craziest part about tennis for women's, though, is they lose serve a lot more than the men. So they will lose their serve and get broken and then
break right back.
And you're just the roller coasters on women is such an up and down situation.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
They also have 3 tournaments going on right now.
Let's actually, all right. So we'll just talk about some of the good tournaments. So I think Monastir is a good one. So let's do WTA.
So you've got 3: Monastir, Nanchang, and Cluj-Napoca. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Just letting you know.
That was pretty close. So I'll give you credit on that one.
Okay, fair enough. We'll go backwards. Club Nabjoko has nobody really in the top. I don't even think they're in the top 30.
I was about to say, I was looking. I don't see.
Oh, they do have 26. The 26 Sorana Cristia is 26.
She's probably.
And if you don't know where Cluj-Napoca is, it's in Transylvania. So it's the Dracula tournament. Outside of that, nobody really big. Moving on to Nanchang, which is over in Asia. The top player was Maya. Maya's 21st. Beatriz Hadid Maya. And then at let's see, the one you were talking about, Monastir, has Jessica Paolini. Paolini is 30th, 29th by some people. So literally every one of these tournaments doesn't have anybody from the top 20. And the reason why is they're all getting ready for the end of the year. They're all taking a break, resting up, making sure that when it comes down to the finals, and I think their finals started next week or the week after.
Got old Sabalenka, Coco Gauff, Iga Swiatek. Big names to be playing.
Yeah, and is that next week or week after?
Let's see. I don't actually know.
Let's see. I think I got it right here.
I think the men's start. I want to say I saw like November 12th.
Theirs is in Cancun. I know that. Let's see.
So that way, when somebody leaves,
October
they can go-
29th. So it is 2 weeks. So it's Halloween weekend. It's the finals in Cancun. The players, let's see who else in it. Sabalenka, Swiatek, Goff, Pagula, Rabinka, Sakari, Jabeur, Bondrosova, Mukova, Garcia, Kastakina, Keys, Krejokov, Ostapinko, Vitova, Bensic, Samsonova, Kudermatova, Zing, Azarenka, Maya, who we just talked about, Alexandrova, Lynette, Vikovic, and Svitolina. So literally, you don't have a lot of people in there. Then you've got some that are playing in the actually, no, it goes all the way down to the top. It goes way down. Wow, I didn't realize there was that many people playing in this thing. There is a lot of players. Well, I guess some of them are playing in the qualifier. But basically, all of your top players took off this week and next week to get ready for this event. And maybe that's to rest up. Maybe that's to work on some small stuff that you might want to work on. Travel and getting accommodated to the area is a huge thing. We don't talk enough about that, but if you've got somebody, I think I brought it up earlier, you got somebody traveling from Japan to Europe, it doesn't seem like much, but it's still, you're changing time zones, you're changing air humidity, you're changing surfaces, everything's different. So I think a lot of players, getting ready for the finals is a big thing. None of your big names are in it. There's going to be some good matches in this. There's going to be some chances for some live betting that is great in this event. Anytime you get one of these big events, you'll see somebody that goes out as hard as they can versus a big competitor. Let's say that they're, the 60th rank versus the 5th. They're going to give it all they got in the first set and blow out their tires. So you come back in the second set. We did it a couple of years ago, or maybe it was last year, with Jabeur had gotten down. I mean, she was down like 5-4-0 in the second set. And I'm like, I'm betting Jabeur. And I mean, it was like plus 800 and she came back to win it all. I mean, you see that a lot. I think getting ready for the women's this week, there's just not a lot to talk about. The lines are very disparaging. I mean, you're talking minus 300, minus 400. There's a lot of upsets that are going on because you're talking about the 20th versus the 50th, and there's not as much movement there as there is from 20 to first. I mean, I'll take, Swiatek versus Sorana Kirstia every day of the week if you give me even money, and that's a 22nd to first. It's just, there's that much difference. Or even if you want to give me the same versus Sabalenka or Pagula, I'm still going to take those big names because they are just that much better. It is just like the men's. The top 10 are usually a head and shoulders above, and in women's probably even a little bit more so.
You got anything you want to add, Donnie? I think we might be.
No, I think that about covers it. We've got finals coming up pretty soon. And I mean, after the finals, I will say this, it does get slow over Christmas. It will be kind of slow. They'll take about a month off, and then all of the Asian and European and Australian events are going to start popping. And when that does happen, that's one of the best times of year. So one of the reasons we wanted to do this now is because the finals are coming up, but because start of the year, there's going to be so many tournaments and so many chances to make money, where we're getting into kind of the slow season now.
We wanted to go ahead
another avenue.
We wanted to go ahead and start these podcasts. I think Puff is going to join us later on. Coach doesn't do much tennis. Like he'll tell us on some things, but for the most part, I highly recommend going into our Discord, which is free, by the way. No paywall, no nothing. You just go in there.
Did we get that link fixed on that? I meant to ask you, and I'm asking on air. The Discord invite link.
I'll check it.
It's on the website. Yeah, check it when we're done. But make sure you join us on the Discord. It's not something we charge for. We're not professional handicappers. people
I was
that do
gonna,
research and
I was gonna say
go from
like
there.
it's funny. Like I don't consider myself a professional bettor. I'm just a guy that likes to bet.
Yeah, but I mean, I also like to win.
Yes, yeah, we like to
I tell
win.
you what, I hate losing more than I like winning.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. All right, Donnie. So I think that's going to do it for us on this
All
one.
right.
We appreciate you guys tuning in.
And we'll do some more of these, and we're gonna break it down even more on some other tennis stuff.
We're
And
definitely going to be
some live
back
bets.
for the finals events for sure.
That's for sure. That's